welcome back to the Fuzzy Pod.
Welcome.
I realized, I don't know if you noticed this, we don't really say our names, and we probably should get people familiar.
People should know us.
Hi,
kidding.
my name is Megan,
My name is Maddie.
and you're listening to the Fuzzy Pod. And I think I've been really, really excited about this episode, but also really, really nervous because this is the first episode that required a lot of prep work before.
Yeah.
It's our first official deep dive.
Yeah.
And we can only dive so deep in an hour. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Also, don't come for our throats if we miss something or mess something up because we're trying our best and we're human.
And what is that we're talking about today, Maddie?
American Girl dolls. Hang on.
Girl dolls.
The year is 2005, and you're flipping through your American Girl doll catalog, bookmarking pages of your favorite dolls, dreaming, hoping
Yes.
that you'll get the dream doll and all the accessories for Christmas.
Oh, all the accessories.
But you never asked yourself, Megan, what is the origin of these historical dolls? And of course you didn't, because you were 8, and why would you care? But today we do care.
Today we're diving in deep into the history of the American Girl dolls.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the origin of the company itself.
Yes.
And also deep diving on some of our dolls, because these dolls, especially the historical collection, absolutely tragic lives.
Dark history.
And we don't even
this
have
American history we have is dark.
we don't even have time to touch on all of them. So we're going to be talking about the dolls that we owned. And we have 2 of them here with us.
We have more than 2 of them here with us, Megan.
Yes, but currently sitting with us. Would you like to introduce Samantha
Hi,
1?
This is Samantha. Samantha 1, as we're dubbing her for today. And she is wearing, she's wearing khakis. Or what would you call these?
Yeah, khaki
khakis.
capris.
With a adorable tank that has little daisies on it. And she's wearing slippers because she's a comfy queen.
And they're
she works from home. So this is her work from home fit.
Slippers.
Fuzzy slippers are everything because this is the Fuzzy Podcast and she came to work prepared.
She has pigtails and maybe a half closed eye.
Yeah, her eyes, she could use a little work. She could probably go to the doll hospital, but
To the salon.
But
But also, Samantha, too, could also go to the hair salon. Let's just keep in mind that these dolls were very well loved. And the way we showed love when we were children was probably by using hairbrushes that the dolls their hair was not meant for, clearly, because God bless these Samantha dolls. It's just
she's been through
one piece of hair. But the fit on Samantha, too, I would wear this now.
Fire. She's wearing this, cargo skirt.
Like a maxi skirt, which is very Y2K.
With, this adorable reversible vest.
Blue and red.
She's currently sporting the red. With a gray striped hoodie underneath. And it is the vibe.
And no shoes.
Which is 100% the vibe.
Okay, she has a blue stain on her, and why is that snow cone? I just know it was a snow cone. It's that kind of blue. It's a blue raspberry snow cone stained her
Couldn't
shirt.
be me. We don't know whose was whose.
We don't remember who had which Samantha doll, but it just felt right that Maddie had the one with pigtails.
I don't think
know.
I did this to her.
But you did this? You want to claim this one?
I'll claim that. I don't think I did this.
Oh, our poor Samantha doesn't even have her historically
Original
accurate clothes
fit.
on.
Literally tragic.
This is so sad.
You know what?
We tried to dress the part today, though.
Yeah.
We did.
We came in our. If you are watching,
you can see
our. What's the word I'm looking for?
video.
Our superior video content.
Okay.
You can see that we are wearing our tea party outfits and we have our teacups.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to American Girl
Did you
dolls.
thrift these?
Sure.
I would actually prefer if you didn't.
I don't think I did. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, did you check them for lead?
No. These don't have lead. I got them at Home Goods or something.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. No,
Not me being like, there's probably lead in these, but I'm just going to commit anyways.
You're like, committing to the bit. I would also like to point out that I have long pink gloves on today and a roughly lime green dress, and Madison is wearing a very beautiful pink princess style dress with big sleeves as well. The theme was massive
like your sleeves.
Before we get going, do we want to do like
Say
a little recap, a little prayer before we step in? Gosh. Dear Lord, be with us and the dolls.
Please bless their hair. It needs a miracle.
And Samantha one's wonky eye. Please bring healing.
Please bring healing immediately.
Okay, wait. Something that gave you the warm fuzzies this week. Or something that was fuzzed up.
Gosh.
It can be either or. Also, you have a little something in your hair. It's a string. I want to get it because you're going to look back in the video. Come closer. We're too far. Look, I have to get up.
Woo! The fuzzed up thing that happened to me this week is that I had something in my hair for the first 5 minutes of this.
I just saw it just now.
I think you're gonna have to go first.
Well, we went on a walk this morning, a hot girl walk.
Oh, we sure did.
Being not so hot at the end because I went to. Well, first of all, I struggle with seasonal allergies. I'm allergic to a lot of things outdoors: grass, pollen, oak trees. But I still go outside because it's good for me. You know, it's good for my soul, not my allergies. Sure. I went to blow my nose when we got in the car. There was a bug in the tissue. And I think it might have come from my nose. I don't know where it came from, Maddie. But I think it came from my nose.
It's very possible.
And that's fuzzed.
It looked like a beetle. It looked like a beetle.
Like my nose just feels itchy thinking about it.
You're making my nose itchy. I can't breathe.
So no warm fuzzies today, but we had that. That's
definitely fuzzed up.
It was. But being with the dolls is giving me the warm fuzzies.
For sure. I feel like this theme is just giving me the warm fuzzies. Like I feel like I've been looking forward to this. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't think I have anything fuzzed up.
That's good.
I think that's a win.
That is a win.
Yeah.
And the dolls give you the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
It's a great update.
I love it.
And are we gonna lose our warm fuzzies when we actually learn about the true history of the company, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. You take over. Maddie's gonna take over here, telling us about the history of the company.
I'm just going to preface this for our video people. I'm gonna apologize because I'm gonna be looking at my iPad a lot.
Me too today.
Because I have a lot of history to go through, and it's just better for us if I read it and not try to memorize it and forget things. Okay. So, American Girl doll was first founded in 1986 by the lovely Pleasant T. Rowland. Actually, I don't know her. Who knows? Maybe she's not lovely, but she seems lovely. It was first known as the Pleasant Company whenever she first founded the company. And the purpose of it was to teach young girls about American history through the perspective of these dolls that they created, these whole backstories that we're going to go into later of that time period. So each doll would come with their own book telling their story. So very unique. There was nothing like it at the time that they came out, like no other dolls on the market that were like that. The history of it, though, how did Miss Rowland come up with this idea? After she visited Colonial Williamsburg, she was like, hey, what's a way that I can reach these like young girls and like teach them about like history? And then the development of the American Girl doll as we know them today. So what's unique about these dolls is a couple things. Obviously, like the history of them, how they all have like their own, or they used to, all the historical dolls have their own like backstories and books and histories about them. But other than that, it's honestly the way that they're made, like unlike any other dolls on the market. Look at this. They're all like crafted with like the best materials, like the hair, unfortunately we ruined ours, but made with like the finest like acrylic hair that they can make for dolls, high quality vinyl for their skin. And they even like make unique face molds for each of the dolls.
That's so cool.
They'll like use some of like the same molds for different dolls, but like there are different types of face shapes and structures that they use for the dolls.
I noticed that in my research because it would be talking about a doll and be like, oh, it has this doll's face mold.
Yeah, so they have like a set amount of like face molds and they have like names for them. So like if they created it for one doll, it's like the Samantha doll, and like used it for like different dolls, that'll be like the Samantha mold.
Oh.
So it's very interesting. Yeah, so that's kind of like the general background of it. A little bit about the founder as well, because I feel like it's important to like understand like why, like I don't know, no one else was doing it. So Pleasant Rowland, she was born in Chicago, and before she did the American Girl dolls and created the Pleasant Company, she did a lot of things in the realm of education. She was a teacher. She wrote textbooks, which I feel like makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like once you know that, like, oh, she literally wrote textbooks before she founded this company. And I think that's why she like wanted to create a doll that was also a form of education for like young girls specifically.
Yeah.
And I think just bridging that gap of teaching young kids in a digestible way of like the harsh histories too, because as I mentioned earlier, like we're going to be talking about some of the dolls and like their history is kind of like wild. You're like, oh my God, why is this the history of this doll? But I think it's kind of bridging that gap of like, yeah, this is just like the reality of our history. So we should be talking about it, and young kids should be learning about it too, but how can we make it approachable for them? So
and how did we... You and I just didn't like reading.
I don't remember like the books though, to be fair. Like,
yeah, because you and I didn't realize some of the history of the dolls until adulthood. And I literally think that's because you and I did not enjoy reading, and I wish we did.
I know, but I think like the sentiment behind the foundation of the company is really cool in that sense, because there wasn't really anything like that out there for especially like young girls, right? Like I think having that is like really cool.
Like from my memory, our options were like that or like Barbie. But there was nothing that like, oh my gosh, she's like me.
Yeah.
Like she's like my age.
She's like me for real.
She's just like me for real. She even got the same teeth as me.
Yeah. No, so I think it was definitely like right on the nose of like a gap in the market. So the original line, so the first 3 dolls that came out were all historical dolls. The original line, Kirsten Larson, Samantha Parkington,
the girl,
and Molly. So those were like the original, the 3 original girls, or 3 original girlies. And then just a brief timeline of the company, just because I think this stuff is interesting. So founded in 1986. 1992 was the debut of the American Girl magazine. Do you remember the magazine?
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I think it comes out like, they still make it.
What?
Yeah, and I think it comes out like every like few months or something.
It's like quarterly or something.
Huh?
Like a quarterly magazine.
Yeah.
It probably was monthly back in the day, but...
And then in 1995, the Today collection was launched. And this was really their first steps to like any type of customization, because now you can like fully customize a doll. Like you can pick like to make a doll look like you.
What?
So...
Because by memory, we had to like go off like they had like a good like baseline. And you'd have to be like, okay, which one looks most
which is
like me?
Which is the Today collection, I believe. Because it's like you would find a doll. I think that's what we had. You'd find a doll that had like maybe like matching hair, matching skin, matching eye color. But this was kind of like their first steps to that, like making a doll look like you. And then in 1998 was when Mattel came in and purchased the Pleasant Company. And also that's when they opened their first store in Chicago, which the store experience, having the tea parties, getting your doll's hair done.
The doll hospital.
The doll hospital. I'm pretty sure I took this Samantha, or either Samantha 1 or Samantha 2.
Whichever has
hospital.
The looser arm. Or I guess they fixed it at that point, but...
Yeah, she had a loosey-goosey arm.
She had to get a little cast or something.
That'd be so cute. They put a little cast
She did
on.
have, do you remember
No,
she
they
had
put-
a band on, like a hospital band?
Yeah, they put a little hospital band. I'm pretty sure they had like a little hospital like
gown. Took her off in a wheelchair.
Yeah, please. Oh my God, they were doing the most. But yeah, so that's when the first store opened in Chicago. And then, which I'm going to dive into this in a second, The Care and Keeping of You was released, which is the book.
The Puberty book. I was hoping you were going to touch on this, because if not, I was going to bring it up. Like, do you remember this book?
Oh my God, yes.
Because I don't know, like, if it just like appeared in my room one day or what. Like, I don't remember like going out and buying it.
Well, I think Mom probably bought it.
And just like put it in our rooms, and they're like, here you go.
Which was kind
Learn
of like
about puberty.
Yeah, which was kind of like the idea behind it, which we'll get into that in a second. So that came out in 98. And then in 2001 was when they first introduced the Girl of the Year, which is like a huge thing too.
I didn't realize it wasn't until the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I just assumed they had been doing it for years before that.
And then at some point in there, I don't think I wrote it down, but they did retire the historical characters. Like, they kind of stopped doing them, and it wasn't really like as big of a thing, which is kind of interesting because that was like the foundation of the company.
Yeah.
But it seemed like they were more leaning into like the Girls of the Year and focusing more on like that modern voice and like that modern experience. I think trying to like really relate to like the current experiences of like young girls and boys, because they also came out with like boy dolls as well. And then in 2022, sorry, not 2022. Oh my goodness. What year am I in? In 2020 was the first historical character in 3 years. So it had been a few years before, like, since they had like a new historical character.
Oh, wow.
And her name was Courtney Moore. And her story was based in 1986, which is a little like crazy because if you look back at those original 3 that I mentioned, one of them was born in 1854. The other one, which is Samantha, was in 1900, like early 1900s,
Yeah,
I think
like 1904.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And then Molly was set in 1944. So it just kind of feels like,
Oh my gosh, Molly, to like the establishment of the company.
yes,
and then
is like the same
amount of years for
Yes.
the 1986
Isn't
historical
that
doll
crazy?
to now.
Because in my mind, I'm like, 86? That doesn't seem like
40
we should be
years ago.
having a doll that's historical. But
Oh
you're
my
so right,
gosh.
because the company was founded in 1986.
So they're like, what was going on during that time?
Yes.
Here's her
Yeah.
story.
So anyways, that's kind of like a brief history, like timeline of like some key moments that I thought were important. And we have to talk about The Care and Keeping of You, which is better
Iconic.
known as, like you said, the book on puberty. So I thought something that was like just interesting is like the opening line says, "The more you know about your body, the less confusing and embarrassing growing up will seem, and the easier it'll be to talk about it." So kind of going back to like the foundation of the company and having that like focus on education
Yeah.
just further like solidified in this book, because I think not only it's like obviously important knowing the history of like our country and like knowing these things, but making an accessible and digestible way for like young girls to understand like puberty.
What's going on?
Yeah.
At this time in my life.
Yeah. And so I think that it was like really groundbreaking in that sense, and like provided a way for like young girls and like their moms to be able to have these conversations that maybe weren't as easy before, or like, how do we talk about this, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a conversation not too long ago with our mom talking about how when she was growing up, our mom was growing up, that her mom didn't really talk to her about anything.
Yeah.
Like, she had to learn from friends
Yeah.
about like what was going on. And that's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, it is scary because you're young. You don't know what's going on.
Where we felt like, oh, like mom kind of talked a little bit with us, but she probably felt like she was like already taking a huge step forward from what her mom did, which was like basically nothing.
Yeah. And so I think it really gave like, even empowered probably parents in that sense to be able to have those conversations and like be able to like read that book with their child and give them the words that maybe they didn't have because of their upbringing, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was really groundbreaking in that sense as well. And yeah, they've made multiple of the care and keeping of you. I think they have like 3 now. Like they're up to 3. And when they like remade it, they included like more diversity in their imaging and kind of speaking more like on the emotional changes as well as like what's going on with your body. Yeah. So I think that that's really cool too. And with that, I think because they've released that book like did so well, they've since released other books like on friendship and understanding your feelings, and they even made one for boys as well, like the puberty book for boys. Like I don't know what it's called, I forgot, but they've made one for boys as well. So I think it's really cool to see like how much of an impact that book had.
Oh my gosh,
and
it was iconic in our time.
Yeah,
especially that page.
Yeah,
the page that. Do you know which one I'm talking about? That page. Because it was the first time you saw like an anatomically correct.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is the care and keeping of you. And I don't know, cool thing that they did.
I think, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Also, like, did you like, so obviously going back to that page, I'm bringing it up again.
It was really impactful for you.
It was really impactful because it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much hair. And also,
there's
oh my
so much hair, please.
And also I was like, I just remember being like, oh my gosh, like, it was like the first time like I had ever also like interacted with like the idea of tampons at all.
Yeah.
Was in that. You know, like I was like, no, it was like never really
talked
even
about.
That was not really talked about either.
Yeah.
Just so interesting.
Which
just like reflecting back on it.
I know. I just feel like everything was like so private to the point of we're not educating.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think like it is cool to be able to like have a jumping off point, because like I was saying earlier, like you only know like what your parents like teach you and like the examples that were set for you. And so I think that
or school.
Yeah, or school. Mm-hmm. But I think like as you get older and if you have kids yourself, like you start thinking like, oh, how am I supposed to approach this, because it wasn't approached for me. So like I'm going to try my best, but like having like a resource like this, like I think is cool. So, and I've said that it's cool like 60 times. So you know it's cool.
It's cool.
100%.
Cool. I'm going to take a sip of my, wow. Am I okay? I need more of this. This is coffee that I'm drinking out of my teacup. It was what I was trying to say.
I chugged my coffee. I'm drinking water because...
Stay hydrated, queen.
I'm dehydrated.
Wow, just some ASMR.
That is fresh. All right. So I feel like I'm wrapping up on my history. I don't want to get too much into it mainly because I didn't do enough research.
The website? Or
no, the controversy.
The controversy.
Like just the controversies that they've kind of gone through, mainly being lack of diversity.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal.
And it's also interesting because Madison recently went through our parents' storage, and that's where we found our dolls. And in there we had, what was it, a total of 5-6 dolls.
Mm-hmm.
But not a single one that we owned was Latina.
Mm-hmm.
And one that we thought was, we just learned what is
I
not.
literally just learned before we started recording.
I was like, oh, this is Madi's
she's
soul.
Not. Yeah, she's not Latina. And I was like, cool. I thought I had a Latina doll. Amazing.
Honestly, Samantha is a little tanner than I remember.
She is very tan.
She's got some like olives, like
she's got
undertones.
So
she's
honorary,
I guess.
Like I think that is very true. Like we literally had 2 blonde dolls. Our Samantha, no, I guess the other one, she's kind of blonde too. Like all white.
Yeah,
except for one.
Yeah,
and she's half white.
Yeah. And it was interesting because they did have some available at the time, but it was very limited. It was like Josefina.
Yeah.
And
the girls, they had a couple girls of the year, Marisol.
And that's all I can think of at this moment. I think maybe since then there's probably been more.
Yeah.
Since we were kids.
I think that like, obviously the original line, I'm pretty sure they were all white. But I feel like since then though, like even just looking at all the girls of the year, like there is some diversity in there, but I think that it's just kind of, there's been, I guess, some controversy in the sense that the dolls that have been like not white, because they've done like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I know where you're going. Yeah, the historical dolls, like Addie's backstory, and that was like the only representation that they had of like a young Black American girl.
Yeah, and so I think that like,
which was really important. If you don't know like the history of the doll Addie, definitely look it up. People have done deep dives on that. That is one doll I didn't deep dive in today because I was just focusing on the dolls that we had. But Addie was born into slavery and had an extremely tragic life. Like it was so much from like being separated from her family and just layers. So definitely like look into that. But it was just like, I think I could understand that controversy because that was like the only representation that they had of like.
Yeah, and I think too, like it kind of seemed like the dolls of the year that they had that were like either Latina or Black, like or like they just didn't seem to have like as intricate of like sets or like accessories and stuff like that. Like it seemed like, especially the earlier ones, it was kind of like, oh shoot, we should have diversity. Yeah, so like a good example too of like kind of lack of like diversity goes back even to like not that long ago, which was like 2017. They released a doll, their girl of the year. Her name was Gabriella McBride. She was like a dancer and like a poet, but like some controversy around that is it kind of almost seemed like they had rushed her to production because they were trying to like manage backlash of like lack of diversity. And so I think that what's also interesting about that too is like a few months later they like released out of like nowhere like a white like singer-songwriter, basically like a Taylor Swift knockoff. And she like even came like with like her own like this like a boy doll as well who was like her boyfriend or something. Like but it was like so weird because like you would like if you look at like her sets and everything that like came with her doll, it was like insanity. And then like poor Gabriella, like she was like I said, a dancer, like her outfit was like not cute, like her sets not great at all, like compared to like other sets that they've had and like all like the accessories like for other dolls. It just seemed like there was like no thought put into it. Also, I'm pretty sure like a few years prior they had like another girl of the year who was also Black and was also a dancer. Like it was like weird stuff like that where it was like it feels like you didn't actually like try to like make a unique doll for girl of the year, and instead you just like were like, oh shoot, we have controversy, so we're just gonna like throw this out there and not actually like create, put the same effort in. So it's kind of like like not controversy, what's it called? Conspiracy.
A conspiracy?
The conspiracy is...
Oh, 3 episodes in and like we're talking about conspiracies.
Not an actual conspiracy, but the conspiracy is like that the white doll that they came out with a few months later was the original girl of the year.
And that's why she had so many accessories because they were prepared for her.
Exactly. And so that they were like trying to like backpedal and like, oh, we should put together something else and then but still released her. Yeah, so I don't know if any of that, we will never know if that's true, but that's kind of an example, I think, of ways that they could be doing a lot better, But I think if we compare like what the foundation of the company and like what they've been trying to do, it seems like they're doing a lot better than most companies. But, we need to be more mindful, and especially whenever we're making things for young humans. And that's impactful.
I want to see themselves.
Yeah. So, those are kind of like the controversies as well as like the price point of the dolls because they are very expensive for a doll, not including the accessories. Yeah. Like they're over $100 just for the doll.
And then we did this to their hair. Please.
And so, of course, like that's not as accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
So, there's obviously like cheaper versions now because the company's been around for so long. There's so many like versions of them, but it's just not the same like quality.
Do you remember the minis?
Yes, I have some. I have some. I brought some with me. They're so cute.
They used to make miniature versions of, I believe, just the historical girls, and it was like just like a little replica that was like tiny.
Yeah,
but maybe they're like, so here you go. It was like a doll for your doll, I think. Kind of.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a doll for your doll, and then they made a doll for your doll's doll.
Are you kidding me? Okay. I was like, I remember Bitty Babies. I think that's
Oh
what
my
they were
God,
called.
yeah.
You had one.
Bitty Babies, yeah. I didn't even touch on Bitty Babies. There's so many other realms we could have gone into, but
This was good.
yeah.
This was good.
I mean, the company's been around since 1986.
That's a lot of history.
That's a lot of history.
That's a lot of history touch. So if you're curious to hear more, you go do your
go do your own research.
That's all you get from us.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on the website, which the
No.
website was a big part of my childhood. I just poked Samantha in the eye. Are you good, girl? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
The website was a big part of my childhood. I don't know if you remember this. There was a game where you could
The parlor.
basically take care of a dog, like, or a cat.
Oh, yes.
You could like raise a cat or a dog. I thought it was the best thing in the world. Okay, Madison's currently holding up her Samantha doll, and she's grasping the mic with her tiny hands.
Sorry, I've had my iPad in my hand this whole time.
You're like, I finally get to hold her. I get to hold her.
What will I do?
Okay.
Firmly grasp it in your hand.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
Well,
Megan, are you ready to...
I think I'm ready.
You ready?
We have a lot to talk about. So in front of us, honestly, I think is I'm sorry, Samantha, but the least interesting of the two girls I'm going to be talking about today.
Oh, I'm
Again,
so excited.
We could do literally a whole podcast series. That's how deep these stories go.
Oh my God.
And there's like multiple books. There's multiple movies for some of these dolls.
Mhm.
You get like, different
The
context
lore.
and lore. Yes. It's just, the universe just goes on and on and on. So today we're going to be focusing on two dolls.
People always talk about the Marvel universe.
Yeah. People talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's talk about the American Girl doll universe. Man, the lore. We're going to be talking about two best friends today, though. Two best friends that we both we have the dolls of, and that's Samantha Parkington and Nellie O'Malley. So first, we're going to be talking about Samantha Parkington. Samantha Parkington was born on May 26, 1895.
Old lady now.
Very old. But like her doll was set in like 1904 when she was like a young adult, about like 9 years old. During the Edwardian period. A lot of people, I think she was referred to as Victorian era for a while, but technically she was Edwardian period.
Yeah.
So I did notice that little piece of information. So you're welcome. By the age of 5, she lost both of her parents to a boating accident. After her parents died, she moved in with her grandmary, which I'm not certain whose side of the family that was. I'm assuming her dad's. But
Grandmary?
Grandmary, not grandmother, not grandma, her grandmary.
But was it her grandmother?
Yes.
Let's clarify. Okay.
Yeah. Wait, it was, right?
I want to be called Grand Maddie.
Grand Megan. Grand Megan and Grand Maddie. Don't even have kids. We're like talking about being grandparents. So Samantha was raised by her grandmary, who really wanted Samantha to be a part of like polite society. So she would expect her to meet her in the parlor.
I remember the parlor in the games.
Yes. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
No, I don't remember
When you were talking about the
Wait, how do you
games.
say that? I'm kind of like, I have like
It was like a
slight memory
treasure
unlocked.
hunt game or something like
Was
that,
there something
right?
with blueberries?
Yes.
You had to make like a blueberry dessert.
Yes, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen area?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, we have to load those games up again.
If they exist. Sorry,
If they
continue.
exist, because Flash doesn't exist.
Yeah.
R.I.P. But when she arrived at the parlor, it was to like learn how to do like polite society things, but she always had to be like dressed properly too and be on time. Otherwise, Grandmary was like, Samantha. But Samantha, she was very curious and adventurous. She loved climbing trees, and she loved kind of
in
going
her plaid skirt and her plaid
in
dress.
her plaid dress and her stockings and her ribbons and her Mary Janes, which she would rip up because she would be climbing trees. She was very adventurous and curious and asked good questions and asked hard questions. She was inspired a lot by her Aunt Cornelia, who she referred to as her uncle's friend for a while because they didn't like really let her like Samantha know that they were courting. Like I guess they thought she was too young to know like, hey, your uncle is like courting Cornelia. But Cornelia eventually became her aunt because she married her Uncle Gardner. Uncle Gardner?
Gardner?
I have an R in here. Should I check that real quick? Uncle Gardner. I have gloves on. I wrote down Uncle Gardner.
I'm sure that's right.
Gardner.
We're good.
Sounds like I'm saying gardener. It's gardener.
Gardener.
Yeah, let me put my glove back on and then I'll pick up.
Pull yourself together.
Why am I wearing gloves? I mean,
because
I like
it's the vibe.
It is the vibe. Cornelia was married to her Uncle Gardner, who had a vehicle. So they probably had I think Samantha came from
They had some money.
Money. Because I think most people were still doing like horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
And he had a vehicle. So, but something really interesting about...
He had that whip.
He did. Something really interesting about Aunt Cornelia is that she was part of like the women's suffragette movement. So she was like, women need rights. Women need the right to vote. Women need to, be able to get jobs and do what they want. And Samantha was really inspired by that.
That's amazing.
And I think a part of like Samantha's like adventurous and curious spirit. Why can't I say that word? I think a part of like Samantha's curious and adventurous spirit had her like asking questions all the time, trying to like break out of like the norm that her grandmary really wanted for her, because she really wanted her to be like a polite society proper woman. She was like, nah, grandmary, I'm gonna change the world.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like Samantha's basically whole deal. She seemed like she, for the most part, compared to the historical dolls, she had a pretty good, honestly.
Good. I mean, minus the whole your parents dying. That's not great.
Pretty tragic.
That's pretty tragic.
In a boating accident at 5.
Yeah. Ooh,
but
that was traumatizing.
A little bit.
Also, Grandmary seems a little traumatizing too. Like,
just
her expectations.
Yeah, she probably put a lot of pressure on Samantha, it would seem. But I'm glad she had someone like Cornelia in her life.
Cornelia seems...
Queen Cornelia.
Where's the Cornelia doll?
Where's the Cornelia book? Okay, we need a spin-off of just Cornelia, honestly. Auntie Cornelia.
Yeah.
Which,
honestly, she seems so cool.
Cornelia and Gardner are going to come back in the story in a little bit in an interesting way. So I'm going to...
What? The cliffhanger is real.
Do you want to hold Samantha too?
Yeah, I guess I'll hold
both baddies. You can have double
baddies.
Samantha, because I'm going to bring out her best friend.
Imagine if I had twins.
That's what it'd be like. Honestly, that's kind of like what your kids would look like, though. Oh, Nelly girl.
Nelly girl.
Nelly girl, you need your hairbrush. So this is Nellie O'Malley, who is not wearing an era-appropriate fit. This is very Y2K. And also, this fit is fire.
It is fire.
Okay.
She's wearing like this
Explain
suede... like mini skirt vibe. Fuchsia. Imagine just everything fuchsia. And then this like almost like tie-dye, one shoulder blouse that's like beaded with like these like flower looking designs. And it is absolutely serving.
It's giving. Her hair though, I'm so sorry, Queen. I thought I brushed your hair.
Also,
but it's still a little wiry.
She has the Lord in her heart because she's wearing a cross necklace.
Yes. I think that was part, actually, of her original collection. So Nellie O'Malley was born on October 15th, 1895. Why am I holding her like a football? I sit in my lap.
Wait, that necklace actually came with her?
I believe so, because she is a young Irish-American girl with strawberry blonde hair and blue eyes. And she's shorter and smaller than Samantha. That was a detail that was included.
That's important to know.
Both of her parents, it's important to know. She was a short queen.
Nellie.
Nellie's parents were Irish immigrants, and at this time in history, they were looked down upon by the white American society.
Wow.
The white Anglo-Saxon Protestants looked down on the Irish, her Irish immigrant parents and her being Irish American. Like, it was just, so she was dealing with a lot of racism already at a young age, but it gets worse.
Oh no. I'm not laughing. Okay, just to preface this, I laugh when I'm sad.
Yeah, no.
So if you hear me laughing,
we should probably both preface that when we're uncomfortable or sad.
It's not because I think it's like funny. It's because I'm like uncomfortable and sad.
Yeah,
and I have like I think I have a condition.
So, you want to know how she met Samantha? So,
no.
Besides dealing with the racisms of being Irish American, she met Samantha when she got a job working for the Ryland family that lived next door. She was about 9 years old and working.
Child labor.
Yes, next door. But you know what? It was a little better than the job she had before that. Yeah, because she had a factory job before the age of 8.
Not
She
the
remembers
factory
her-
job. A
No.
factory job?
She had a factory job. And that was, I guess, common of like immigrant children back then, which just my stomach. Her 8th birthday, she remembers working in a factory and did not have a celebration that year. And because of all the factory work, she's not very healthy.
Oh my God.
It weakened her
Nelly.
health. And she hoped that serving as a maid would be a better, healthier location for her than the factories.
Not
So
her out
working-
here trying to make good decisions for her health when she's 8.
8 years old. And being like, okay, my family's gonna work
This
for
work-
them. Like, this will be better for me. Like, I'm gonna be working indoors as a maid. Like, this will be good for me at 8 years old.
At 8 years old.
Yeah.
Please.
But get this. She gets fired. She gets dismissed by the Ryland family because Mrs. Ryland doesn't think she's strong enough to keep working for her.
Please.
She thinks that this little kid is...
I'm sorry an 8-year-old's not strong enough for you.
I was... Maddie,
She's 8 and sickly.
when I was reading this, I was screaming. Okay? But when she befriends Samantha, something really sweet happens, okay? Samantha wanted to help Nellie get an education, so they started their own school together. But Grandmary... Grandmary.
I feel like I don't like Grandmary.
Didn't like that they played together because she was, quote, a servant.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she didn't want Samantha, hanging out with the next door servant girl, was Grandmary's words.
Cool. Cool.
It gets worse.
I'm scared.
Nellie even referred to Samantha as Miss because she was like, seen as like higher society.
No.
And I don't think Samantha stood for that though. So Samantha was,
Samantha wouldn't.
based queen.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't hard enough that, she already has gotten basically fired from 2 jobs before the age of 9. Her parents died in the flu of 1905.
Please.
Her parents died in the flu of 1905.
Both of them?
Both of her parents. So, it was really tragic because after that, her and her sisters had to leave and they were no longer living next door to Samantha and had to move in with an uncle. That was their only living relative, their Uncle Mike O'Malley. And we do not like Uncle Mike O'Malley, okay?
Oh.
He was a drunk.
Oh.
He sold their stuff for drinks and he mistreated the sisters. He also abandoned them.
Oh, okay.
And they were taken to a place called Cold Rock House, which I believe was like an orphanage. And
Nelly.
Samantha, though, she
Busted her out.
busted them out.
Oh my God.
Literally busted them out.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm going to cry.
But then
Samantha?
it has somewhat of a happy ending, okay? Because Nellie and her sisters get adopted by Uncle Gardner and Aunt Cornelia.
I knew it. I knew it.
Don't cry. Also, I like this little tidbit of information. Apparently, she sings really well. Nellie can sing. But it was still always hard because Nellie always just kind of was always very protective of her sisters and always just felt like at any moment, that things would turn on her again.
Of course.
Yeah.
Literally everything tragic that could happen happened.
And was everything was fighting against her. Racism, becoming an orphan, being mistreated by family members, working in a factory, being fired because you were too weak at the age of 9. Absolutely tragic. So we stand Nellie. And I had no idea all the things that she
Went through.
But we appreciate Nellie so
We do.
much.
She is a queen. She is an icon. And we stand a supportive friend. Samantha,
Yeah.
honestly, Samantha's the sidekick at this point.
Honestly, Samantha is a sidekick, and I appreciate her though for wanting to help her with her furthering her education.
Yeah.
Because she saw the circumstances she was in.
Yeah.
And wasn't allowed to, progress her education. But apparently she was really good at math. Nellie was, because she had to do the math
You just
on
pulled her arm out
her arm.
for a second. What do you mean? I saw the inside.
She's so loose. All their legs.
She's so loose. Please.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
We have to take them to the hospital.
You know what was something we have to take him to the doll hospital. Something that I was obsessed with Nellie though was her freckles.
Yes.
So those are the only dolls that we're going to be covering today. There is so much
yeah.
that you can literally just like do a quick research of like American Girl doll, like historical dolls, tragedies, and you'll get the bullet points. But that seems like enough tragedy for one podcast.
I think so.
What did American Girl doll mean to you growing up? Like when you think about it, like on it, like what elements like stick with you the most?
I think for me, I didn't read, so I don't remember.
We didn't read the books. We've already established that. We didn't know about the history of the dolls. So what did the dolls themselves mean to you?
I don't know. I think it was just cool, like, and I think this kind of goes back to the controversy, unfortunately. But like for me, like I did feel like Samantha looked like me. Yeah. And I think it was like really cool to just be able to have like a doll that felt like a little mini me that like I could literally just like dress up and like just I don't know. It just I have such like good memories of like literally flipping through like the magazines, like because before you couldn't get them online, like you had to like order them through like the magazine. And so I think like flipping through the magazines and just being like, oh my gosh, like this one looks most like me, or like, oh, these accessories are so cute. Like, I don't know, just having those like memories, like, and us together, like getting to do that and like look at the dolls. And cannot forget our experience, like going to like the store in New York and taking our dolls and like getting to like travel with them. Like they were like little travelers back then.
Do you remember we thought like, oh my gosh, there was this Cheaper by the Dozen. Yeah, was a movie that was popular at the time. And one of the actresses that like played one of the kids was like there, and we were like, oh, she goes to American Girl doll too. Yeah, and we're in New York, and we spotted a celebrity. We were like, oh my gosh. Honestly,
that is so funny.
Iconic though.
Yeah, it was the moment, 100%. But yeah, I don't know. I just have like good memories, like of taking them with me everywhere, and I don't know.
It was the accessories for me.
Yeah.
The tiny things. And we have honorable mentions. Licorice the cat.
Yes.
And Coconut the dog.
Yes.
I wish we still had those.
They might be somewhere still, but
because I literally would just like, I just loved like hanging out with them. Like hanging out, I don't know, like I would like take the little coconut dog around.
So like, cute.
It's so cute.
It was so cute.
And we could never have a cat. So
yeah,
because Maddie's very allergic. So I was like, this is my cat, Licorice.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember who they specifically belonged to, if they did at all. Or if they were
because they still sell
anyone's
them.
Dog.
I think they were just like, if you wanted to have an animal.
Yeah. They're like, here.
Yeah.
Oh, iconic. And thank you, American Girl doll.
For the memories.
For the memories, for being a part of our childhood, for being a part of our growing up.
Yeah.
And learning what growing up means.
Yeah.
And for helping us look back on our dark past. So that we can move forward.
So we can try to be better.
Try to be better from that. But for giving us some real insight into what girls our age at the time would be experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
It is crazy. Even though we, I guess, didn't prioritize learning that stuff.
No, we didn't. And we didn't have a Latina doll.
But you know.
Honestly, kind of on us because we were talking about this a little bit before. But I think sometimes, you know, we noticed we had like 3 blonde dolls. I think that was a lot of like what we were seeing and the people that we looked up to, and we were like wanting to be like that.
I mean, to be fair as well, our mom is white and blonde.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't be like
so. I think we were probably
and Hillary Duff.
Yeah, we were like,
I want to be Hillary
Duff. Our mom looks like that. We're over here with our dark hair.
But also the blue eyes, because mom has brown eyes. It was like, oh, blue eyes, green eyes. If I get a doll with like blue eyes or something,
it's like a mix of everything. Yeah. But yeah, we had this random blonde doll that I think was one of the like. Truly me or whatever.
And you were like, this is truly me.
Yeah, I'm like, why did we have this? It wasn't a girl of the year. It was just it wasn't a historical doll. It was literally just a random blonde girl. I was like, who are you? Like, where'd you come from? But anyways, I think just having like a mix of all of them. And unfortunately, I guess we never had a Latina one, but we can change that.
We can change that.
We can change that.
We could go get one today.
We could.
We could go in on it together because as we mentioned, Mija, that's expensive.
Mija, that's expensive. So that'll be the next Mija, that's expensive.
Yeah, you'll catch us. We'll be like, hello.
We got the whole set.
we got the whole set. Pets and all.
Pets and all.
Tiny bed included.
Tiny bed. Oh my gosh.
Matching outfits. We got the 14 youth and squeezing into it.
But anyways, this was really great. Thank you for telling me about Nellie and Samantha.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Oh, and there's so much more.
Yeah.
There's so much more. I feel like we should like clink our glasses to end
I
this.
think
I
we
don't know
should.
why, but I just realized we're not on a wide angle, but
It's
you
fine.
can just hear it.
You can just
That
know
was
we
a-
did it. Just know we did it.
We love coffee.
We love water.
Refreshing. Hydrating. It's not mine's dehydrated.
Yeah, yours is dehydrated.
There's ice in there. There's it
Oh
melts
my
into
gosh.
water.
You're like, there's some level of water in there.
Oh, thanks for listening to the latest episode
Yeah.
of the Fuzzy Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, comment,
Follow.
all that good stuff. Follow along for more episodes as we continue our journey, diving into all things nostalgia, pop culture, and more. Thanks for being
Absolutely.
here.
Bye.
Bye. I like your outfit.
Thanks.
Those shoes are cool.
Yeah, you know, just trying to be on brand.
Wait, are those slippers?
I work from home.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't say anything. I don't have shoes on at all.
Yeah, why are you judging me?
Out here showing feet for free.
You know you can charge good money for that, right?